The country, Commonwealth and realms have a new monarch.
God save the King.
After 64 years of being the Prince of Wales, Prince Charles has become the King of the United Kingdom. And now Prince William, the current heir apparent and future King of the United Kingdom, has become the new Prince of Wales. But why is this the case? Why is the future King of the United Kingdom not simply recognized as the Prince of the United Kingdom, but instead is recognized as the Prince of Wales, which is just one part of the United Kingdom? It's a peculiar and controversial aspect of the British monarchy, and the reason for this dates back more than 700 years ago. It's a story about war and bloody conquest, and how one of the most important traditions of the British monarchy came to be. So let's get into it. The best place to start this and explain the controversy around the title of Prince of Wales in the British monarchy is to explain the origins of the title itself. And for this, we go all the way back nearly a millennium ago to the year 1165 to track the emergence of the first ever Prince of Wales. At the time, Wales as we know it today was not exactly a unified nation. Instead, it was made up of a number of smaller kingdoms. One of those kingdoms was called Gwynedd, and its ruler, Owain Gwynedd, also known as Owain the Great, was considered to be the most powerful king among the kingdoms in Wales. At some point in the year 1165, Owain the Great titled himself as Prince of Wales in a letter to King Louis VII of France, which technically makes him the first ever Prince of Wales. But fast forward about 50 years later to the year 1218, and Llewellyn the Great, grandson of Owain, had consolidated all of the smaller kingdoms in Wales into one, which effectively made him the most powerful Welsh king and the ruler of all of Wales. And to seal this position even further, Llewellyn the Great signed the Treaty of Worcester with King Henry III of England in 1218. This treaty essentially established the consolidated kingdoms across Wales as the Principality of Wales, and also established Llewellyn the Great as the ruler of Wales. By 1240, Llewellyn the Great had passed away, and his son David took the throne and the title of Prince of Wales. And by 1272, after David had passed, his nephew Llewellyn the Last had taken the throne and also become the Prince of Wales. But something very important had happened over in England. King Henry III, who agreed to the Treaty of Worcester, had also passed away, and his son, King Edward, had taken the throne. And as it turns out, Llewellyn the Last and King Edward had a frosty relationship. By 1277, King Edward had declared Llewellyn the Last an enemy of the crown and went to war against him by invading Wales with an English army of 15,000 men to start what we now refer to as the conquest of Wales. Soon after the invasion, King Edward and his English army had conquered most of Wales except Gwynedd, where Llewellyn the Last was still ruler. And desperate to keep his kingdom, Llewellyn the Last agreed a peace treaty with King Edward to keep his small kingdom of Gwynedd, while King Edward kept the rest of Wales, which he had conquered, for himself and the English crown. But 5 years later, by 1282, Welsh princes in the parts of Wales that had been conquered by King Edward rallied with Llewellyn the Last and launched a rebellion to try to take back Wales from the English crown. But that rebellion was unsuccessful for Wales and for Llewellyn the Last himself. By December of 1282, Llewellyn the Last was captured and killed by the English army. After the death of Llewellyn the Last, his brother, David ap Griffith, was named as his successor, and he carried on the war against King Edward. But that didn't last long either. By June of 1283, David had been captured by English forces, and by September of that year, he was tried and condemned to death. In early 1284, through the Statute of Rutland, the Principality of Wales was incorporated into England, which effectively put Wales under English control. And later that year, King Edward's son, Edward II, was born at Carnarvon Castle in Wales. And here's where the story takes a turn. In 1301, King Edward took what was considered an extraordinary step and named his son and heir apparent Edward II as the Prince of Wales, which made him the first English prince invested with that title. For King Edward, having his son born in Wales and naming him the Prince of Wales may have been a way to try to bring both countries even closer. But for the Welsh, it was seen in many parts as just another element of the King's conquest of Wales. Because remember, the Prince of Wales was a title held by previous rulers of Wales, and yet this title, which was regarded as the highest traditional title in Wales, and also in some ways as an act of defiance to the English crown, was being given to the son of an English king. It's not clear what King Edward's intentions were, but what's clear is that his decision to name Edward II as Prince of Wales set in motion a historical precedent for the crown, and ever since, every male heir apparent to the crown has been invested with the title of Prince of Wales as part of this tradition. Now, even though the title typically goes to the heir apparent of the reigning monarch, the title of Prince of Wales is actually not automatic or heritable, which means the king or queen has to specifically grant the title. So a few instances here. When a current Prince of Wales becomes the king, the title merges with the crown until a new Prince of Wales is named. And if a Prince of Wales dies before becoming king, the title reverts to the crown until a new heir apparent is named. And so Prince William has become the new Prince of Wales after being named by his father, King Charles III, who was the longest serving Prince of Wales in history.
Today, I am proud to create him Prince of Wales, Tywysog Cymru, the country whose title I've been so greatly privileged.
But unlike Prince Charles, who had a very elaborate investiture ceremony as Prince of Wales in 1969 at Carnarvon Castle, there are currently no plans for an investiture ceremony for Prince William. Why? Because for the most part, it's not immediately clear what it means to be a Prince of Wales, aside from being the heir apparent. There's basically no formal public role or responsibility for the Prince of Wales. But beyond this, it's also because an English prince being named the Prince of Wales has always been a touchy subject in Wales. When Prince Charles was invested with the title back in 1969, there were protests against the ceremony, with 500 million people watching around the world. And today, the sentiments around the title are possibly even worse, with some calls for the title of Prince of Wales to be abolished altogether. For the British Crown, the title of Prince of Wales is a ceremonial way to mark the heir apparent. But for some in Wales, giving the highest traditional honor in the country to someone who's not even from Wales, as King Edward first did in 1301, is a humiliation that has now gone on for over 700 years.
It does nothing more than rub salt into the wound to remind us every day that we are subjects